What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and today I will be discussing the game-changing nature of Eri's Quirk and why I believe that Eri is going to play a major role in the My Hero Academia story in the near future. In the past, I made a video about Eri's backstory and the known properties of her quirk for those of you who don't want manga spoilers and just want to know the basics about Eri. However, this video will focus on how Eri and her quirk could completely change the world of MHA as the story moves forward. And that includes looking at the latest story developments about Eri and her quirk. In fact, it is my opinion that Eri and her quirk could end up driving much of the main plot in the chapters to come. And if you think I'm crazy for saying that about such a minor character, hear me out, you may be surprised. If you enjoyed the Boku no Hero content on the channel and you want us to keep it going, please leave a like to let me know, it really does help. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Just a heads up, all of our AnimeUproar videos are now available in audio format as a podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to us that way, just look for AnimeUproar Audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or you can just click the direct links in the description. Finally, as I said earlier, this video will contain manga spoilers. We're talking about the latest events in the story, everything we know so far about Eri and her quirk. So with that said, please proceed with caution, you have been warned. In chapter 257 of the Boku no Hero manga, Aizawa revealed to All Might that he was planning to train Eri soon, and All Might offered to help. We know that up to this point, Eri has been unable to control her quirk, so while her incredible ability can be very useful at times, such as when she was able to help Deku defeat Overhaul, her quirk can also be extremely dangerous, such as when she accidentally rewound her own father out of existence. Furthermore, because Eri's quirk works only on people and not on inanimate objects, it isn't easy for her to practice using her quirk. She would basically have to practice on people, and if she practices on people, there is a big risk that she might seriously injure or even kill the person by accident. With that said, thanks to the help of Neito Monoma, we learned that Eri's quirk is an accumulation type quirk. This means that Eri needs to accumulate power over a certain period of time before being able to use her quirk effectively. As a result, Neito was unable to copy and use Eri's quirk himself, so he couldn't give Eri any practical advice about how to learn to control it. We know that Eri's quirk is considered a mutation because it is vastly different from the quirks possessed by both her parents. And we know that her quirk allows her to rewind a person's body back to a previous state. This has massive potential, and it could mean helping someone heal their injuries by rewinding them to a state before they were injured. But, as we saw, it could also mean rewinding someone right out of existence. Once Eri learns to control her quirk, it could be extremely helpful and useful not only to the people around her, but to humanity as a whole. However, until she learns to control it, Eri's quirk remains extremely dangerous for everyone around her. Throughout her life, the nature of her quirk made Eri potentially dangerous to the people who were closest to her. And of course, this made her feel guilty and she felt terrible about herself. This had a profound effect on her confidence and her self-image. Although such a unique and powerful quirk could be considered a blessing in the long run because of all the good things that Eri could potentially do with it in the future, so far, Eri's quirk has been more of a curse than a blessing. Because of her quirk, Eri accidentally killed her father. As a result, she was abandoned by her mother, and because of the unique properties of her quirk, Eri was abused and experimented on by Overhaul. After such terrible experiences at such an early age, anyone would be forgiven if they came to view their quirk as a negative and dangerous thing. Thanks to the terrible experiments that Overhaul conducted on Eri, he discovered that Eri's blood has properties that can take away the ability of other individuals to use their quirks. When they come into contact with Eri's blood, other people's bodies are rewound to a state before their quirk manifested, and so they suddenly become quirkless, as was the case with Mirio. As we know, Overhaul eventually ends up using Eri's blood to create special bullets that will take away their target's ability to use their quirk. But even though Eri's quirk is the reason why Mirio became quirkless after being shot with the quirk destroying bullet, Aizawa believes that Eri's quirk could also be the very thing that allows Mirio to restore his own quirk. When Aizawa says this, it is not just a throwaway line. I think that Eri's quirk will likely become a major plot point in the Boku no Hero story. It's been a while since Mirio lost the ability to use his quirk, and Mirio is such an epic character with such a great quirk that I find it very hard to believe that Horikoshi would just keep Mirio quirkless for the rest of the series. Instead, I firmly believe that Mirio will eventually regain the ability to use his quirk. And based on what we know so far, it is likely that the method which will be used to restore his quirk is Eri's power. After all, it was Eri's blood that took away Mirio's ability to use his quirk in the first place. So it is logical to think that as soon as Eri learns to control her quirk, she will be the best person to restore Mirio's power. But restoring Mirio's quirk is only the beginning. Knowing what we know so far about Eri's abilities, once she learns to control her quirk, she could potentially do so much more. She could change the entire world of Boku no Hero. She could restore All Might to his physical prime. She could revert Kurogiri back into Oboro. She could potentially even restore All for One to his physical prime if All for One is able to somehow manipulate her. Perhaps by threatening to kill someone if she doesn't do it. But more than that, Eri could single-handedly become the solution to the quirk singularity issue which has been raised many times throughout the course of the story, and which is sure to become an important plot point in the future. Quirk singularity is a concept that the villain doctor Daruma Ujiko claims to have come up with many years ago. Quirk singularity refers to the idea that as new generations of quirk users are born, the quirks that the children are born with will become stronger and stronger as different powerful quirks mix together to create even more powerful quirks. The world will eventually get to the point where quirks that a user manifests are just too strong for him or her to control. As Ujiko puts it, the memory will exceed the hardware, meaning that the raw power of the quirk will exceed the capabilities of the quirk user's body. According to Ujiko, this has already been happening since the 4th generation of quirk users. Eri herself can of course be considered a prime example of the quirk singularity issue. The quirk she manifested as a child was a mutation that didn't resemble the quirk of her parents, and it was so powerful and so destructive that she couldn't control it. Her own father died as a result of Eri's inability to control her quirk. Ujiko believes that as more and more quirks continue to mix together over the coming generations, this phenomenon will become more and more common, and eventually the entire world will be thrown into chaos. But here is the ironic thing. Even though Eri is herself an example of the dangers of quirk singularity, she could also turn out to be the cure for the quirk singularity problem. Assuming that Eri's training will be effective and that she will learn to control her quirk, Eri will be able to actually help children who manifest quirks that are too powerful for them to control. Theoretically, Eri will be able to rewind the children's bodies to a point where their quirk had not yet manifested until they are old enough to actually control their quirks. So if there is ever a quirk singularity arc in Boku no Hero, I predict that Eri will be the star of that arc. We've certainly been getting hints in the story that children are being born with stronger and stronger quirks, and we've had multiple examples of children accidentally killing people, including members of their own family, specifically because they were unable to control their quirks. Examples of this include both Eri and Shigaraki. I really don't think that this quirk singularity concept would have been introduced and repeated so frequently if Horikoshi didn't intend to make a bigger deal out of it in the future. The other important thing that we have to remember about Eri's quirk is that its current abilities could only be the beginning of what her quirk will be able to accomplish once Eri is able to access its full potential. We have recently seen multiple quirks straight up awaken and evolve in Boku no Hero. And while we could say that the evolution of One for All is a one-off because One for All is so unique, the evolution of quirks like Shigaraki's Decay and Toga's Transform demonstrate that quirks can still become far more powerful and exhibit additional abilities well into the user's adulthood. So what if Eri's ability to rewind people's bodies is just scratching the surface of her full quirk potential? What if Eri can eventually learn to rewind multiple people at once, or even large groups of people? Overhaul believed that he could one day use Eri's power to take away the quirks of humanity as a whole. So is it possible for Eri to one day literally alter the physical components of the entire human race with her quirk? Could she one day decide that the world would be a better place if quirks didn't exist? After all, her own quirk has been more of a curse than a blessing for her. Could Eri one day become something like a villain who wants to use her quirk to erase all quirks from existence? As intriguing as this sounds, I doubt it, but who knows what kind of abilities Eri's quirk could unlock in the future? Could we get to the point at which Eri learns to rewind time itself? Or actually send people back in time instead of just rewinding their bodies? There are many intriguing possibilities with this quirk, and I personally can't wait to find out where Eri's story goes from here. We do have to remember that Eri's quirk is an accumulation type quirk, so Eri does not have unlimited power. Her quirk will likely get much stronger, but its power will never be unlimited because Eri needs to take some time to charge up her power, store it, and then release it when the time is right. This means that the amount she can store is inevitably going to be limited, even if that limit ends up being a high one. I personally believe that Eri will remain a good guy, and that she may eventually become a star of her own spin-off or next generation Boku no Hero series. MHA already has the Vigilantes spin-off, and provided that the popularity of Boku no Hero remains as high as it is now, it isn't out of the question that a new spin-off with younger characters like Eri could appear. This is especially possible once the current main cast graduates from high school. Since Eri is so much younger than them, if Horikoshi wants to create another high school story for a new generation in a few years, he could make a spin-off that focuses on Eri and other younger characters starting their journey in UA as the current main cast focuses on being pro heroes and adulting in general. We could even have a situation where the main story ends, there is a time skip, and then Eri and her age group become the main cast, with the current main cast becoming new UA teachers. It's like Boruto the Next Generation, but for Boku no Hero. Isn't that exciting? Okay, fine. I know that Boruto isn't the best example to use, and a lot of people would hate that idea. But if the series is making a lot of money, and the main story winds down, you better believe that they will find some way to keep cashing in, and a next generation could be the way to do it. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that this will happen for sure, or that Eri will definitely become the new main character of the story. But I do firmly believe that Eri is going to become an increasingly important character, especially due to the incredible nature of her quirk. With all the talk about quirk singularity, with the insane evolution and awakening of quirks in recent arcs, and with Mirio still being quirkless, I think that Eri and her quirk rewind are going to become critical plot elements in the near future. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me that Eri will become an increasingly important character to the story? Or do you think that she will just remain an adorable side character? Also, assuming that Eri's quirk could keep getting stronger and stronger in the future, what other additional powers do you think that she might be able to unlock? Rewinding time itself? Rewinding all of humanity? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos in this style on this channel, please leave a like to let me know. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Don't forget that you can now listen to our videos in podcast format. Just look up AnimeUproar Audio wherever you get your podcasts, or click the links in the description. I want to give a big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons who support our content and make these videos possible. First up, let me thank our The One tier patrons, the ones who rise above all other clans, including Ingrata, Alolanada, Makotakun, The World, Steelers, The School Bus, and Tyson Quirino. I also can't forget our awesome Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Nothing But a Fan, Jason Wilson, King Zeldris, $50 Beat, Alpha Dio, Anatoly Kazatsky, Angel Cruz, Team Sparky 65, Cricket XP, Rohan Kapoor, Jessica Maloney, Emperor Otaku, Timothy E. Vargas, Jean d'Arc, and Joe Stanton. If you enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value for you, consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single dollar will give you access to our patron-exclusive Discord, and your name will appear in our videos along with these legendary people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.